Well, if it isn't my lovely FreeMelons again, thank you so much for joining me. I am Eli Martyr, and I have got something to reveal to you guys that I haven't been talking about too much, and I'm very excited to break this news to you. Well, it's not breaking news, but I'm just going to give you a little bit of an update on how I've been living and how I've been eating for this year. And it's an ongoing thing. I'm not done with this little experiment, but I just thought it was about time that I give you just a bit of an update as to what's going on. From January 1st till the end of March, I only had a couple of solid food breaks in between periods of liquidarian lifestyle, of fruit juicing, and even some vegetable juices as well. I bought a juicer in December of last year, and so with anyone who buys a new juicer, you kind of want to experiment with all the different types of juices and combinations that you can make. So I tried, the typical veggie mixes and whatnot. Eventually, once I got all that out of my system and just, satisfied curiosity, I found that I was gravitating way more to just simple mono fruit juices. So from January to the end of March, had a couple of solid food breaks. So I would go about 2 to 3 weeks of liquids, and then maybe 3 or 4 days, 3 or 4 days, 5 days of solid food as a break. Go back on the liquids for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever. Then a couple of days of solid fruit. Okay, so you get it. From April 1st to the present time, and beyond the making of this little lecture, has been liquids only. So it's been 2 months so far of just liquids. Those liquids being primarily fruit juices. Exclusively fruit juices. I think I did, a combination of a vegetable juice here or there, just again, out of curiosity, experimentation and whatnot. But melons, essentially, watermelons, Gallia melons, honeydew melons, these fruits give such amazing liquid yield that I just didn't really want to buy anything else. It was just easier on the wallet, and yeah, you get so much more juice with melons than anything else, really. So how much liquid have I been drinking? So from January till the end of March, when I did those solid food breaks, I was drinking very minimally. Maybe I don't usually measure these things. I just don't care. But if I had to guess, 1,200, 1,500 calories, something like that. I don't know, of juice for the day. Very often I would do 1 meal a day, 1 meal of fruit juice a day, or whatever other type of juice. There were many times I didn't do that. There were many times where I had juice in the afternoon, and then in the evening, and then even a snack here or there. So I didn't do 1 meal a day exclusively. But very often I did. Come April 1st, when I decided that I was just going to do exclusively liquids, I started doing far less of the juice meals throughout the day, and more often I did 1 meal a day of just fruit juices. Calorie intake, very, very low, 500 to 900 calories for the day. I'm sure there were days where it was a little bit more, but hovering around there. Okay. Drastically below the recommended caloric intake, guidelines that the dietary community would have you believe is appropriate, getting way, 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 way less. And this is the fun part. Now it's time to describe how I felt, how my body responded, all that kind of stuff. And this is going to be really interesting for a lot of you guys. At the beginning of the year, I weighed 160 pounds. Now, around mid-May, I started doing a lot more fasting while I was on the juice cleanse. But until I did that fasting, so from January 1st till mid-May, all throughout the primarily fruit juicing, and then a month and a half into exclusively fruit juicing, you wouldn't believe how much weight I lost. I lost 0 pounds. absolutely 0 pounds. I was 160 pounds for this entire duration. Now, why is it that most people would lose a considerable amount of weight doing, something like a month of juice cleansing? The reason that most people will lose a lot of weight and experience detox symptoms and go through all these pains and tribulations and trials and whatnot is because the body is still particularly encumbered by wastes associated with incorrect modalities of living and eating prior to the juice cleanse. I've been a fruitarian now for 2.5 years, and I've also been doing considerable amount of fasting over that time and for several years prior. So I have to assume that my body over this time had whittled away, condensed, and squeezed all of the, not all, no, this process is not done for me. 2.5 years is new. I'm a newbie when it comes to this, okay? So don't get ahead of me thinking that my journey is at an end. My detoxing is not complete, and there are ways that I know this. So, but has my body been purged and cleaned more so than the average person? Absolutely. And that is evidenced by the fact that I lost no weight after all this time. 0 weight. My tissues have been squeezed and cleansed to a great extent, right? I never need tissues. Mucus forming waste products and toxic compounds have largely been eliminated from the tissues. Intramyocellular lipids from within the muscles that get stored in the muscle tissues, those to a large extent have been purged and cleansed from my body. So from January till now, I haven't experienced any detox symptoms. No adverse symptoms that made me, have to lie down in bed or whatnot. Very, 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 very comfortable throughout this entire process. In fact, all I experienced was good cleanliness. Skin really started to shine and glow. I got really, really defined and cleansed. If I do experiments where I'm eating badly, right, or eating high fat, which is something that I did do, even earlier this year, some of those solid food breaks, I experimented with high fat meals and a couple of them in a row, right? And sometimes what I notice is that my face tends to see that first, right? So I get a little bit more bloated in the, in the cheeks and whatnot. And I noticed that, as time went on, just everything just, condensed and squeezed and very, very, very defined, just squeezing the excess out of my body, right? And it felt great. Yeah, so that's the first thing that not many people who do extended juice cleanses will tell you. That they lost 0 weight. Everybody loses weight. I lost 0, literally 0 pounds, okay? Up until mid-May. From mid-May till now, I've lost about 5 pounds and counting, we'll see, because I started doing a bit more fasting and now I'm doing an extended water fast. So naturally I am going to lose a little bit more weight, but I'll get into that later. Let's talk about exercise on this whole journey so far. I have been consistently getting stronger. I've been doing certain types of calisthenic movements, hand balancing, and I've been doing heavier weights at the gym, and I've been getting stronger on this juice cleanse, which is normal. A lot of people doing juice cleanses will find that they have good energy and good strength at the gym. And so that might not be as surprising to people that are new to this channel or new to this raw food, juicing, and healthy living lifestyle. Yeah, guys, you can hit the gym every single day, as I did, and be consuming very, very minimal amounts of juice and still be perfectly functional, right? I felt great every time I left the gym. I felt fantastic. I did not work out. I did not exhaust myself at the gym. The approach that I used was I was doing pure strength movements and spending very little time at the gym. I would often do workouts throughout the day, and just whenever I had a second, do a heavy lift and then do another heavy lift later on if I had access to weights, or I would do hand balancing movements, throughout the day. So I was exercising throughout the day, but never exhausting myself. That's how I approached my regime. And it was working. All my numbers started to go up. My bench press numbers, my deadlift numbers went up, and I was getting just stronger and stronger and stronger. It's funny. So before I went fruitarian, I used to weigh about 185 pounds, give or take, right? I looked just like I do now, but everything was thick and swollen, right? Just bigger, thicker muscles. You know, my neck was thicker and bigger, just loaded with waste. Because I remember that was one of the first things that changed. You know, my neck just went shoo like that. You know, after 2 weeks of fruitarian eating, and it's like, yeah, that must have been just garbage in there. No wonder I had chronic mucus. Couldn't go to school one day without my pockets filled with tissues. Friggin', I was sick of it. I was just sick of that lifestyle. So once I got over the ego thing of the big muscles and all that, man, my health just took off. But anyway, used to be 185 pounds. So when I was working out a lot back then as well. And so all my lifts were bigger than they are now. Obviously, right? Lots of stimulants, you know, flowing through the body, lots of cooked foods and just spice, like all sorts of stimulants, right? So yeah, my body was more stimulated. It was bigger. I could move more weight in that state at that weight. Yes. What's really interesting though, one particular lift, I don't know what it is about dips. I'm doing more weight on my dips now than I was when I was 183 pounds. So what am I now? I'm about 155. Okay. I'm doing more weight on my dips at 155 than I was at 185 or 183, around there. And I thought that was really curious. Not with my bench press and my squats and whatnot. I was doing more at the heavier weight, but for some reason, dips and a couple other calisthenic lifts I'm stronger at now than I was back then. So that's the second thing worth taking away from here, is that you can be juicing for extended periods of time and still go to the gym very often, in my case every day, and still continue to get stronger. And depending on how free from waste and how clean your system is, you might not even lose weight, as I proved to myself. Okay? Was I able to carry on with life and go to work and all that? Yes, work is pretty physically active. I was always able to go to work and perform and do all the things that I normally was able to do, even off of a 500 to 900 calorie juice regime. No problems at all. What else can I tell you? We can get into a little bit of the disgusting stuff. I can tell you about how my bowel movements were and GI tract function and all that. During the period where I was doing the solid food breaks, I was experimenting with how certain foods moved through my system. So after about 2 or 3 weeks of juicing, then I would introduce like those high fat meals, right? And then sometimes my break would be just fruits, just to see how quickly those things move through my system. Nothing really surprising there. High fat foods, you know, salads with nuts or salads with avocados move through your system so slowly, and it just, you know, doesn't feel great. I made a video that you should check out about not eating fats. You do not need high fat concentrated foods in your diet. You absolutely do not need them. All of the essential fats you need are provided to you by the high water content fruits and leafy green vegetables if you need. There is no necessity for concentrated fats in the diet. So you can check out that video if you like. But I ate them, wanted to see, was curious. It was a nice treat. Sluggish movement, even after cleansing for 2 to 3 weeks on a liquid only diet. Of course, eating fruits pass through your system much faster. Come April 1st, where I went exclusively liquids, it was interesting. I noticed periods of more liquidy bowel movements and other isolated periods of harder, drier bowel movements. Later on, you know, once May rolled around, I started seeing far less harder movements and more just purely liquid, purely liquid movements. Am I missing anything? Yeah, I think that's about it for now. And like I said, this is an ongoing thing. I'm going to be continuing with, currently my water fast. So, we'll have more updates for you as that goes on. Once the water fast is done, I'll more than likely be breaking that with more juicing. And yeah, we'll see where things go from there. But that's about it for now. So yeah, 2 months on exclusively liquids and feeling good, feeling fine. Interesting experiences, with my strength and the lack of loss of weight, body just staying pretty much where it was. Yeah, very, very, very interesting. Yeah, we'll update you as I go on with this. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little update, and I will see you all next time on the FreeMelon Society.